There's some amazing, amazing success stories. But what about you? What is it going to take? Do you ever wonder why it is that no matter what it is that you learn, because you spent the last 3 days in intense learning, maybe know as you go out there Monday how hard you try or how diligently you follow the plans that have been given you over the last 3 days, that you still struggle to become successful. And even if you do get a little success, you struggle to sustain it long term. Do you ever feel that way? So, even if you are successful, some of those people that even came across this stage, but you know that there's a greater potential inside you. You know that this is just the tip of the iceberg of what is possible and what you are capable of, but you continue to sort of hit the ceiling of your potential and you can't seem to break through. If any of that is true for you, then this session might be the most important session you've ever attended. This might be where finally the floodgates open up and what's released is your greater inner potential to become the person you were always capable of becoming. So I want to start this presentation about the belief system of success and the impact that that has on your life and your results with a little story. And this is a true story about a young girl. And for some of you, this story will sound familiar because it is maybe much like your own story. This little girl here was raised in Artesia, California, which is a suburb of Los Angeles, but far removed from the glitz and glamour of Hollywood. Her parents were immigrants. They had first generation, came to this country. They couldn't speak a word of English, and they had very little money in their pocket. But eventually, they saved enough money, and they bought a little 1,100 square foot home, the best 1,100 square feet that a grocery store butcher could afford. And between the walls of those 1,100 square feet, they raised 7 children. 7. All under the roof of 1,100 square feet. So needless to say, this little girl did not grow up in luxury. Now, she was the 5th child in a line of 7. Now, it doesn't take a birth order specialist to know that 5th from the beginning and 3rd from last is an easy place to get lost in a family. All her clothes were hand-me-downs. She never had new clothing, and very few did she actually like. Now, while her older siblings' successes were always celebrated, by the time she accomplished the same feats, they were just simply expected. And while she always felt loved, she never felt special. And most of the time, she just felt awkward. Her mixed Latin heritage meant that she had long, unmanageable, wild hair. And she had olive skin. Now, as adults, we might describe that as exotic. But when you're 7, there's no such thing as exotic. There's only different, and different is never good. Our story takes place on a Tuesday afternoon when this little girl is walking home from school. It's another day of 1st grade behind her. She's wearing a blue dress, a hand-me-down from her sister, one that she actually likes because it has a little lace around the sleeves and a little lace lining the bottom of the dress. On this Tuesday afternoon, when other mothers are picking up their children, she's walking home. She doesn't get but a block away from the school when she can sense that something is wrong. She hears the sounds of somebody chasing her. It is 2 boys that are sneaking up behind her. Their sneakers are shuffling on the ground, their backpacks are shifting on their back as they quicken their pace to try to catch her. Her 7-year-old heart begins to race. She's breathless with fear. She looks to her right, she looks to her left, looking for an escape route. Before she can find one, she feels the hand of one of the boys on her shoulder. He whips her around to face him. She knows his name. It's Matthew. Matthew sits next to her in class. But she's never been this close. So close that she can count the freckles on his nose. And for a moment, they just stare at each other. But only for a moment, because in the next instant, they attack. They pull her hair, they kick dirt on her shoes, they throw her backpack to the ground, they kick her shins, they pinch her arms. Through her screams, they can hear them saying, "Nobody likes you, everybody hates you, you're weird." She tries to hit back to defend herself, but she can't. "Everybody hates you, nobody likes you, you're weird." Finally, they throw her to the ground and run off. She lays there, silent, stunned, terrified. When she finally catches her breath, she assesses the damage. The strap in her backpack had been broken, her knees were bloodied, her shins were bruised, and the lace on her favorite dress was torn. Beyond the physical trauma of that experience, on that Tuesday afternoon, walk home from school, something far worse had happened. Because when the bruises were healed and the scabs went away, she could not erase the echoes of those boys' voices in her head. Nobody likes you. Everybody hates you. You're weird. And then there was that whisper in her mind for all the years that would follow. Maybe nobody does like me. Maybe I am not worthy. Maybe I'm not good enough. That day on that sidewalk, a belief was planted. And for the rest of those years forward, she would be haunted with that belief. She picked herself up, walked the rest of the way home. When she got home, she walked through the kitchen door and disappeared in a sea of siblings, never to tell anybody about it.